combat.
Hey guys, check this out. We have the Skyripper E1000. This is the next generation 3D printed combat streamer plane. This is the perfect use for a 3D printed airplane. This flying wing can be assembled in 30 minutes. It flies amazing. And you buy one STL file and you can build all these wings. All of these decals on here are all printed on the 3D printer. There's not even any paint on this, so it comes right off the printer, ready to assemble. I got 3 different vertical stabilizers, so you guys can customize it however you want to. Got 3 different wingtips you can choose from. The best part about this build though is how to set the CG. This system that I designed for this, it makes the CG set perfect every single time. And also, if you guys wouldn't mind, hit subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Now let's get to the build. For this build, I use normal infill, so you can print this out of whatever material you want to, PLA, PETG, whatever you want. First thing you're gonna do is take your servo you're gonna use. I'm using a 9-gram Metal Gear servo. Take the control horn and glue it into the end of this elevon right here. It's gonna sit just like that. It's gonna stick out a little bit. If you use needle nose pliers to hold the control horn to slip it in there, it makes it really easy to set that in place. Now we'll go ahead and glue our TPU hinges in place. Just use a little bit of glue, you don't need much, and I only glue one side. I don't even put glue on the other side of the hinge. And then just make sure you wipe any excess off. So now we'll go ahead and start working on the bigger parts. We'll glue the center section together. I'm just using Zap-A-Gap CA glue for this. You can use any kind of super glue that's good for plastic. It will work just fine. Gluing the wingtips on here so I can let that dry, and then I'll go ahead and work on gluing these pins into the wing. So these are 3D printed pins. I go ahead and slide it into place, then I hold on to the pin where I'm gonna glue the rest of it into place. I slide it into the wing and then pull it back out just a little bit just to kind of smear the glue around. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. And I'll just glue these 2 wing sections together. Then I'll just take an 8mm, 500mm long carbon fiber rod and we'll slide that into the center section of the wing and slide our 2 wings on. We're not gluing this carbon fiber rod in place. You don't glue the wings together, that way you can take it apart and reuse the carbon fiber rod. So now I'll go ahead and cut this control horn flush. You can use a Dremel tool to do that, or sand it, or just a hobby knife to make that nice and flat. Now I'll just add a little bit of glue to our hinges and slide it right into the wing. This is why I have the wing assembled, so that way I can just line up the trailing edge of that elevon with the wingtip and with the root right there. I can make that nice and flush. Just to make sure they move nice and easily, there's no binding, so you don't want to shove them all the way. You want a little bit of a gap between the elevon and the wing. Okay, now we'll go ahead and take our servos. We'll cut these mounting brackets off of the servo. We'll put a piece of tape on this so that way we can reuse the servos or take them out if we want to replace them. Now you can go ahead and center the servo. If you want to use a servo tester or a receiver with a battery or whatever you want to do, make sure the servo is centered. Slide the wire through the wing, and now we're going to go ahead and line up the elevon with the servo that's in the center position, and it won't line up exactly. You'll have it off just a little bit, either up or down. You'll center that with your controller on the sub trim tabs, and then just add a little bit of glue. And then these screws right here are the screws that come with the servo that normally are used to mount the servo in place. So you don't need any extra screws. So you can see there that the elevon doesn't match up exactly with the trailing edge of the wing, so we'll just trim that to neutral on our controller. Now let's go ahead and glue our vertical stabilizer in place. Now for a flying wing, the CG is super important. And with any other build, if you had a little tail heavy airplane, you just add a little heavier battery in there and the CG will be okay. But for this airplane, we're restricted to the 1000 milliamp 3S for the competition. So that's why it was super important to make a system that I could adjust the CG so that it could make sure it would be perfect with this battery. So the next step you want to do is set up your electronics. So you can just plug your ESC right into your motor just like that. I like to solder the motor to the ESC. Just for this is to make it a little simpler and a little less wiring. Then I'll go ahead and attach the motor to the motor mount. This motor mount is printed out of PETG, so it's a little more heat resistant. I designed this wing to be able to add lights into the wing. If you want to use lights, you do want to add a UBEC. So I just go ahead and solder a JST connector on there, and then I go ahead and put the servo connector on there, so that way I can just plug the lights right into BEC. And then again, you just use a little piece of heat shrink. All right, so next thing you're gonna wanna do is print out CG tool, and you're gonna want it cowling, not scaled. You can use it for all 4 of the airplanes. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is you're gonna take your ESC and your motor mount, and they just slide right into the cowling like that. And then the ESC is designed to slide underneath the motor. Yeah, so it sits right inside this channel here, so that way the ESC gets nice cooling, the motor mount gets cooling. So you just take your servo wires, and then this just slides right onto the wing just like that. And then once you got that on there, we're gonna go ahead and put our battery in there. And last thing we're gonna need is a receiver. And then you can even put the cover on there. Now, this thing is just still movable. See how you can just slide it forward and aft like that? That's what you want. Now you're gonna take your CG tool, and your CG tool matches up the two dots on the bottom of the wing. So you're gonna go ahead and set that on there. Now you can see the CG's aft, which is how we want it. Now, we're gonna go ahead and just slide this cowling out of the wing here until the CG's right. So you can see how sensitive it is as you start moving it. So you're just gonna play with it till then. So now you can see it's perfectly balanced. So now we just measure from here to there to see how far that is. Then we'll go into our slicer software. By default, your slicer will have it selected as uniform scaling. You want to deselect that uniform scaling, and then you just want to move the Z axis as far up as you want. The next thing you want to take note of is the percentage. So you want to just make this a nice easy round number. Then you'll take that percentage and you'll scale up the battery hatch the same, and it'll just print that off. So now you're going to do a little bit of work on the battery cover. So this just clicks into place right here. So there's no clearance designed into this. You just have to make the clearance by just removing a little bit of plastic with your knife. Take a little bit of plastic right off of this piece and off of this piece, whichever one. Now it clicks in there nicely. Now this one and number 4, we're gonna have lights actually inside the wing, which is pretty cool. And they slide in super easily. You buy these and they just slide right into the wing. You can just put them in just as is, but I actually do take off this sticky part here. And then we've got one more tool. This is so you can drill the hole in the cowling. So you're just gonna go ahead and just slide that right onto the cowling. You just go ahead and drill that out. Okay, now we can go ahead and glue on the cowling. Make sure to check the CG for all the wings, depending on the filament you use, the motors you use. It does change the length of the pod. Okay, now the next step is we're gonna just slide the engines into these, and if you're gonna use lights, go ahead and add the lights. So it just slides right into the cowling. Now I'll go ahead and just glue the motor mount into place. This motor mount is adjustable so that you can change the depth of it depending on what motor you use and what prop adapter has on there. The ESC just slides right underneath the motor mount. I don't use any Velcro for that. This is what it looks like with the lights on it. It looks so dang cool. I had one that I printed out in clear plastic and I put blue lights inside of it. It looked really sweet. And then this last one, I put white lights on the inside of it. Check this out, you guys. We have the next generation of streamer combat planes. These are all 3D printed. Look how awesome that is. This is just a storage bin. I was gonna make like a PVC rack to carry these out, but man, that just like looks like it's made for it. The motors are just hanging in there, just perfectly sits there. It's awesome. So we'll go out and try number 1. Look at that. Doesn't that look sweet? This is all 3D printed, no masking or nothing. That looks so sweet. And I don't even use Velcro to keep this battery in here. I just literally slip it right inside the receiver here, and the wiring, because it's bent like this, it kind of just pushes the battery forward up against the motor, so it just sits in there like that. So this one, you can see the screws on the bottom. So if we crash it and have to reprint one of the wings or the fuselage area, you can just go ahead and unscrew it, take off one of the wings or both wings, and reprint whatever you need to. So it's like a modular, wing that you can just remake and build however you want. There's a nice little grip area right here on the bottom, so it makes it nice and easy to launch, just like that. You have a nice little grip right here. You put one finger back here and just throw it. We got this little slot there to tie your ribbon on there with the tractor style. Nice, there's no prop, you're gonna get in the way or any of that. Nice spot to hold the ribbon, so it's awesome. So the beauty about a 3D printed airplane is you can really dial in the airfoil. So I've got reflex built into the wing. So on the back of the wing, it curves up a little bit, so it doesn't require any trim, which is less drag. And then also, I can put washout in the wingtip. Oh man, that thing flies good in the landing. Holy cow. That was so cool. You guys got to build one of these. This is awesome. All right, we're ready for air combat tonight. We're just out here testing these out. So the first week of combat was a lot of fun. Definitely learned a lot of stuff. I let Andy fly my number 4 airplane. Unfortunately, the hand launch didn't go so well and he crashed that. So I went ahead and gave him the controller to my wing and I hand launched it for him. I just wanted to see what he could do with this wing. He had a lot of fun with it, did some cool stuff with it until we got into a pretty deep stall. We could figure out later on that we had too much throw on the control surfaces. So when you pull full stick on it, it basically puts it into this weird spin like that. Crash to the ground. Nice thing about a streamer combat plane is it's easy to find out in the tall grass. Round number 1, we got 2 broken planes. This one pretty much stalled it in pretty high maneuver, and it was hard to recover. So we're gonna get another one ready to go, and we'll give it a try. So for round number 2, I was planning on flying this number 3 airplane, and by the time I got all set up, plugged the battery into it, ESC started smoking real bad on it. So by the time I got another airplane ready to fly, they were about done with that round. So here's round number 3, and I go to hand launch this airplane and crashed it. So then we got round number 4, and I was determined to get something up in the air, so I figured out this was the closest one to getting something flying. So I started getting a little bit of glue and some duct tape just to hold the airplane together, and then had to change out the prop and hook up the streamer and everything, and I was able to get that thing out ready to go for round number 4. And this was a lot of fun to come out and do. If you guys haven't done this before, make sure to get out and check your local RC field and get involved in streamer combat. It's a lot of fun. Alright, so this is a great practice because I just crashed 3 out of the 4 airplanes, so now we can take them back home and see if we can get them rebuilt and ready for next week. So this one, number 3, not a big deal. The ESC was smoking on me when I went to plug the battery in on that one. So that's a pretty easy fix. I just gotta unsolder the ESC and maybe put a different one in there. This one, I had a bad hand launch on that, kind of threw it wrong, and this is why I designed it like this. The wings are fine. Pull the center section of the wing out. I was going to reprint these 2 center sections and the cowling, and these fins are glued to the center wing section, so I do have to reprint these 2 fins. Number 4, that was also a bad hand launch on that one. This is another easy fix. Pull these wings off and just reprint the center part and the cowling. And number 1 is the only one that actually had a successful flight tonight. Only got 1 score in the very last match, but you know, that's how it goes. We're gonna learn how to do it and gonna be a little better next time. And so this one, unfortunately, is pretty much a total loss because of how bad it crashed. It kind of broke right here. Not too big a deal, but let's get started. I'll get the printers running and we'll get this thing going. All right, guys, now it's Thursday afternoon and we got a little bit of work to do. Now, number 1, that one I got to print the entire airplane out. I had to go to work, so I was like, oh, I just want to just throw this on one printer and just hit print and walk away. Perfect timing. My new printer showed up. Got the H2C. Check this out. I literally just took the printer out of the box, set it up. I put all the parts onto one build plate, hit slice. It tells me exactly where to put all the filament, hit print. And 1 day and 6 hours later, I have this perfectly completed airplane. It's like I ordered it off Amazon, just showed up at my house. All the decals done on it. You don't have to do anything, and then just assemble it. All right, let's go ahead and put all this together. All right, guys, so that took me 1 hour to get to this phase here. I just got to add the motor to number 1 here. Number 2, I did actually add this extra fin in here, so I'm gonna actually have to check the CG again on that. All right, guys, check it out. We got all the airplanes done. It's Monday night. We got combat tomorrow. Oh, is that cool?
Daddy.
The purpose of streamer combat is to attach a 30-foot streamer on the back of your RC plane and fly around and keep your own streamer intact, and also cut your opponent's streamers either with the propeller, or you can add double-sided adhesive tape to the leading edge of your wing. And you also get points for landing inside the circle there in the middle of the field. You also get points for taking off on time and for lasting the entire 5-minute round. We're all flying on a 3S 1000 milliamp battery, so there's limited power there, so you're trying to manage your battery power to last the entire 5-minute round. This week of streamer combat went a lot better. I did not crash any of my airplanes, so I used the same airplane for all 4 rounds. This is a great hobby to get into. It's really affordable. You can just buy, one set of electronics and some STL files and some PLA, and you guys can have an airplane out flying RC Combat. I want to thank all the guys out there at the RC field. This is my first time flying RC Streamer Combat, so I went out there for a build night one night just to see what this was all about, see what they were building, get some ideas for an airplane that I wanted to design so I could compete. So I really appreciate all their help. They're a great group of guys out there. Thank you guys so much. Heath is top of the leaderboard here. He does really good with this Streamer Combat. So after this week of combat, I wanted to have him fly my wing here to see what he thought of it. He had a lot of fun flying it. Gave me some good feedback. Got into some different maneuvers and stalls and stuff, and figured I had a little bit too much control throw on my control surfaces there. So we adjusted that a little bit. This was a really fun video to do for you guys. I really hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next build.
I like it.
Cool. Yeah? Pretty cool?
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for flying that.